Do the whole intro. What it do, baby boo? It's your boy King Reno. This is going up on the YouTube. This is patch 11.1. We are basically Fridays when the season kicks off, so preseason is done. We're hitting the start of the ranked season. We're gonna be back on the grind again. With this patch, let's see, what am I hoping to see on this patch? So I haven't really looked over it or anything beforehand because I just kind of want to give you guys how I interpret the patch, get an idea of like when I'm going over a patch. Sometimes I'll read the whole patch, sometimes I'll just like go through just the bullet points of the changes if they're really easy to figure out. I did a preview a couple nights ago on my stream, twitch.tv/call_me_king, and that's twitch.tv/call_me_king, where we went over all the tentative changes that were on surrender at 20. But the problem with that is a lot of those changes were like minor changes to MR values and HP values, and they were just like rounding numbers to kind of shape them to make them look a little better. On there, they did have some buffs to, I believe, Gnar, some nerfs to Akali. If I'm just trying my best to remember. But with all that being said, we should get right into the patch notes. And we're back. New year, new season, same old us. That's probably not a good way to start this off. People don't want the same old Ryze. We want a new Ryze that cares about their, player base. Last round of adjustments before rank kicks into gear. I guess I should do this real quick mini tangent where, okay, so everything that we learned in preseason is really good because they change the game frequently. You got to figure out what's meta, what's strong, what's weak, what's different. But then they also drop a patch to start the season off. Since they're dropping a patch to start the season off, it's not like everything you learn goes out the window, but it's like you have to also learn stuff on that patch as well. So I always think it's interesting that, like, imagine if the ranked season started, but then patch didn't come until like next week. So you'd have a week or the next patch series, so in 2 weeks. You'd have a whole run of 2 weeks to use everything that you've learned during this off season and this last patch to get better and better and better at, what's going on. But there are already hot fixes. So these mid-patch updates are effectively hot fixes. First hot fix is they nerfed Graves' base damage. Base damage nerf can be pretty bad on 80 carries. All in all, Graves is still busted. One thing that I learned from watching the Demacia Cup, so the two online tournaments or offline tournaments, I don't really know how they handled those, were the Kespa Cup and the Demacia Cup. So Kespa Cup is like Korea's, it's not like all the Korean teams that you normally see in their pro league. It's like a handful of those teams, as well as a handful of teams that you may consider like challenger or amateur, but as long as they qualify for the tournament, they're able to play. And then the Demacia Cup is just like a off-season tournament just for teams in the LPL, which is really cool. So you can see LPL and LSPL, which is like major league and minor league for the Chinese region. Ivern, root collar cooldown. So they nerfed the cooldown because this man was busted. He's still probably really strong, but I mean the buffs that they gave him over the preseason definitely put him in a realm where he was stronger than like everybody, than a lot of the junglers. And the problem with Ivern, there are only a handful of junglers that truly counter him, and other champions that like handle him until he hits a certain point and becomes like unmanageable. Malphite, Thunderclap, first hit bonus damage. Oh, the W. I was like, Thunderclap. I thought that was but the Ground Slam is also on here. W. Let's see. So they're nerfing that. I think that's a good nerf, mainly because Malphite is strong. He does a lot of damage. Oh, I didn't even look at the trigger speed damage. They just brought down the AP ratio. So the Q is on a longer cooldown. The E does less damage. Still pretty strong. I don't know if this is a revert back to what they nerfed it from, though. I'd have to look at the other patches, but I know they brought the Q cooldown down, which is interesting because Q is his rank, his second max. Normally, Ivern goes E max, Q max, then W. So I don't know if this is a revert. And then the trigger shield AP ratio is still fine. Iverns aren't building full AP, but I think this is kind of like a weird nerf to the mid lane, people call it mid lane assassin Ivern, that was just popping people with his shield. Full AP mid lane Ivern. Malphite W Thunderclap. First hit bonus damage. So really this move down the armor since he's building full armor and he's a strong counter to fighters and bruisers in the top lane. Just makes him a little weaker. They still want him. I think they still want his identity to be top lane anti-tank, but they're looking more like in a way that's manageable and not just like, oh, someone locked in something that wasn't AP in the top lane. Malphite wins. Ground slam damage. They went about it the same route. Everything's the same except for the armor damage because Malphite scales off of armor as well. Sivir bonus mana going up, so that's just helpful so she can spam out a few more things. Damage fall off not appropriately resets on boomerang return. I don't know if that's a buff or a nerf. It's just falls off appropriately. So we don't know whether it was falling off too fast or falling off really high or really falling off low. Figure it out. Silas Hijack. Oh, the chrono break thing. I don't know if you guys had seen this, but Silas had a bug where if he took Echo's ultimate, he could R twice. So if he set it up in a way, he could literally R on top of himself and then R again and basically do a double burst. It's kind of game breaking. But not a lot of people were playing the Silas and Echo matchups. But if you did, you could take advantage of that. But now it's gone. Talia. Throw another rock! Let's see. Talia. They buffed her like crazy in the preseason as well. So this might be for like a high MMR or a professional play change. Because a lot of, you just don't see a lot of Talia. She's hard to play in lower MMR. But that could be what that change entails. Rel, bug fix. Rel's bonded ally not properly keep attract/repel bonus stats while the ability is on cooldown. So I'm assuming what happened is when she would E, they would lose the armor bonuses. And then Varus. 5 at all ranks, and excuse me, at early ranks they brought down the cooldown, so that's cool. You can do the whole like American Sniper, Chris Kyle Varus, which would be really, really useful. Yeah, I really do need water. Hey, I stopped by your stream earlier today when you were playing, not Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, but I don't know if you saw my message. But, next time, I'll swing by again and say what's up. Alright, now we are on to the actual patch notes. So, Fiddlesticks, W cooldown increase. So this is just to slow down Fiddlesticks clear in the jungle. He's still relatively strong. I think the problem with Fiddlesticks is he's not popular right now. So I think what's going on is since he's not popular, people don't realize how strong he is. He's, I think, better this season than he was last season. And he ended last season basically like not breaking the game, but he was pretty meta. Yeah, I wasn't sure whether you were playing on a mod or whether you were playing actually from a Wii. That's what my question was. But it was cool to see Twilight Princess. That's one of the Zeldas that I have to play. An emulator on your PC. Very cool, very cool. Gunnar, my man. Nah. Okay, Mega Gnar's Q base damage and slow increase. Okay, so basically, okay, and then Mega Gnar E attack speed duration increase. That's interesting. Mega Gnar E attack range. Oh, the hop. Okay, yeah. So these are the changes that. They look pretty much the same as the ones that were on the surrender at 20. Base damage goes up tremendously. I don't know if you see this. And when base damage numbers go up this high, it makes me wonder if they're trying to move him towards being like a Sunderer user or a like a Sheen item user. Right now there's like 4 or 5 Sheen items, but the higher your base damages are, but I guess it would have to be his base damage, not so much the base damage of his Q. So I don't know. I'm just kind of trying to think through it. But the boulder toss is not the boomerang, it's the boulder toss. So it's for Meganar, and this is for Meganar. So they keep on like buffing things for Meganar. What happened in the before? They buffed something for Meganar like previously, and I think we're gonna see Gnar do well because it's such a fast meta that Gnar on like 2 items can team fight really, really well. And then the E attack speed goes to 6. I mean, that's crazy that this is buffing Mini Gnar, because Mini Gnar doesn't really have any problems. Down in the comments below, if they were to split Gnar into 2 champions, who would you main? Would you main Mini Gnar or would you main Mega Gnar? So Mini Gnar, of course, would be like an AD carry or a top lane poker, and Mega Gnar would be like a bruiser fighter tank type. So which one would you go with? Just, you know, maybe your play style or whatever. I really would love to know. Karma. Silas herself is out here, and they are buffing her. They're buffing her shield at least. So I think they don't. So Karma's in a really, really weird spot where she was getting some play in the top lane, and then they changed the way like all the items that she builds. So now she's in this weird place where she's not a very good top laner, she's not a very good mid laner, she's not a very good support. She's like an okay support, but why would you play her over like Janna or Lulu or literally any other support, like enchanter support? You know, she provides a little bit of stuff, but yeah, it's questionable. Go with Mega probably. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Like Mega Gnar's pretty cool. Let's see, Janna with more damage, worse Lulu. She is, but I mean, it's like all the things that she was really, really good at, she still does, but I don't know. The other, I just feel like Janna, Lulu, Soraka, Sona, what's her name, Seraphine, all of these enchanters, Nami especially, like there's no way I'm not gonna play Nami over, you know, or play Karma over Nami. Like that's just the way it's gonna have to be. You're gonna play like Nami strong, and I think they nerfed her last patch or the patch before, but she's still really, really strong. So this will help, you know. Same early, then it's 10, 20, 30, and 40. So I don't know, because I think the shield in all cases is her second max. Like you always max Q and then shield. So I don't know how this is gonna play out. Like maybe it'll change the meta where Karmas are building, you're maxing their E first, and like just, I don't know, like kind of effectively playing like a Janna. But we'll have to see where that goes. Master Yi, Q cooldown increased later. So this is just a nerf to Yi in his level 7 and 9. And really it's like a nerf all the way through because it's 17 and a half. But the sad part about this is a lot of the nerfs that pertain to Master Yi only pertain to Yi because of Yi Tarik funnel. That's the only reason. Like, people just don't know how to handle the Yi Tarik funnel. So what ends up happening is, if you go to like an aggregate site, let me see if I can force it right now, because that would be really, really cool. Let's go to LOL Analytics, because sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. All right, so if you go to highest win rate, but look for let's go for the lowest pick rate, not lowest, but where is he? If he shows up on this one, Control F. He's not showing up on this list, but a lot of times you're able to. Well, let's just look up Tarik real quick. And his 7%. What's his win rate looking like? No, it's normally higher. I don't know if it fell because of funnel, but all in all, normally when I look up this stat, a lot of times you find that Tarik has like not a 7% play rate, but it's closer to like a 1% or like a 1.8% play rate in the mid lane. but then his win rate is astronomical, and that's because it's being inflated by Tarik. If anything, Karma will be looking for those alt team fights, but I don't think the buff is big enough. Yeah, they definitely screwed up on, not screwed up, they're probably going to rework her this year. I mean, you gotta think, Mundo's on the rework, Nocturne's on the rework, Shyvana's on the rework, and then I figure they probably rework something like a Mumu and Udyr. Maybe not. Don't quote me. I'm saying like those 5 champions would be nice. I think this year they only reworked 3 champions, which kind of sucked. Unlike the year before where they reworked like 5, which was awesome. But yeah, once they figure out either how to A, nerf funnel, or B, manage it in a way where it can be viable, because the funnel isn't happening in every game, but if you figure out a way to manage funnel where it's not like uber broken, I'm sure people would not be like too, you wouldn't have to keep on nerfing Yi, or you rework Yi's someone who could be put up on the chopping block for a rework also. So because the last time they reworked Yi is when they changed him from the APE variant from like season 2 to what we have to the Yi that we effectively know now. So they could do a lot with Master Yi. They could revamp, because it's such a basic champion. He runs at you, he hits you with the Alpha Strike. Like, Alpha Strike is synonymous with his abilities, so you definitely keep Alpha Strike. But his W heal almost makes no sense, except for like, oh, he's a samurai, he's a ninja, he's a Ionian warrior, so he's meditating. But that's like weird, because that's almost like a tank thing to be able to tank all those abilities. Like, I'd expect someone like Lee Sin to have some sort of meditating ability, because he's literally a monk. But, and then like I said, the E could be anything else. Like, it's a bad ability. E's bad and his ult is bad. You change it, you change those 3 abilities, you have a whole new champion, he's doing better things. Of course people would be upset, because it's like you can't just run in and kill a whole team if you're super fed, but I feel like a lot of those games don't happen as frequently anymore. Like, Kalsef is struggling. Kalsef used to be like a challenger Master Yi, and now he floats around on like Diamond. I mean, he might have a challenger account, but every time I see him on stream, or every time that he posts his videos, those are all like D3, D4 games. He might be doing it for content, or it just could be he's in a really, really bad spot for a challenger level Master Yi player to climb back up the ladder. Pantheon. Base health regen decreased. W empowered AD scaling decrease. So they're just nerfing him a little bit. He is really, really strong. They changed him in a manner. I think this doesn't help. Like, his Q is really strong, short cooldown, low mana cost, and his W isn't on a high enough cooldown for people to feel safe laning against him. There's no other way for me to explain it. Like, Pantheon is really, really strong. Recommend you playing him mid top, and still you can play him as a support. He's just not as good of a support. Let's see, where am I looking at? Kiana. Panthers carry when he support. Yeah, effectively. Kiana. Health regen going up. Attack damage going up. So she got Graves 2 AD. Kiana's weird, because Kiana's really, really, really hard to pilot in lane versus a lot of people. And then she just turns into a I do nothing but damage kind of a champion. So, you really just got to figure out, like, how are you gonna play her early level? Because she's I'll show it. She's not like a hyper scaler, because she just has like a super strong mid game, and then her late game, as long when everybody has like CC and armor, she kind of falls off. But that mid game, because she has like a high roam style. So for those of you who don't play Kiana, because I know she's not the most popular, whenever she uses her W to take an element, when she's near or in that element, so if she's in the river or she's in a brush, she gains attack speed, or movement speed, sorry, she gains movement speed. So she benefits from like roaming, getting killed. So think of her kind of like a Talon, but with like CC and able to like wipe out half of the team if they miss position. Kiana's like Ryze, hard to play. So high level, she's amazing, but low level, she's non-existent. Very true. I mean, the thing is, if you're in low MMR and you run across a Kiana that's bad, that's like they're probably like better on every single champion in the game, which is sad. Like, you know, she is a hard champion to play. But if they're good, they're normally smurfing, like hard smurfing, because she is a champion that, like, again, takes advantage of the chaos of solo queue. So she'll like shove you in. If she kills you, she kills you, which kind of sucks. But then she roams down bot lane. It's like old Katarina, or even current Katarina right now. She just roams down bot lane, gets a double kill. That doesn't feel so hot. And all the bad things continue to happen. Ryze. So they lowered Ryze's mana cost for his Q, which is a weird buff for Ryze. Because this is max what at level this, so this is like level 9. I don't know if he like needed this. It's nice. It's a benefit. It's nice, but I don't know if he needs this buff in particular. He needs some help. I don't know where its win rate is at, but I don't think it's high because the tier currently is like rough. That's also funny that you mentioned Ryze right next to Kiana, and they're right next to each other in the patch notes. But I don't know how it would change. Realistic, if I could change Ryze, I'd take him back to like season 6 Ryze, where his R wasn't the teleport thing, but it was the ability empowerment. That's my favorite variation of Ryze. And it's also sad that they're not changing him every season like they used to. There's no more Ryze rework memes. Zaya, E cooldown and cost decrease. So this is an overall buff, but the problem is crit attack, auto attack based 80 carries are just in a bad spot. Like they're just in a bad spot. So if you're looking over, if you're looking over your champions, your 80 carry champions that have been dominant in the preseason, Jin, Misfortune, and Samira all don't build 80 carry. They all build effectively like a burst assassin, eclipse bow. What's the other thing called? What's the collector? Dustblade, even for in the very beginning and stuff. Like they're building items, and their play styles aren't very like attack and move, kite, attack and move. It's very like blow your load, land your damage, get out of dodge, repeat, rinse and repeat. I think Emax on Ryze. Wait, I think Emax first of Ryze, so Q mana is lower level doesn't do enough. Yeah, I just don't know. Like I feel like Ryze isn't in a bad place, but he's not like broken. He's not like strong. He's just like, because what you put the first point. I think you go E, Q, W. Some people start W so that they can do auto W auto since you get the slow. But it's like E, Q, W, then you max Q, max E, max W. Because your W is your 1-point wonder, your E is your spreader, but you don't need the spread. So the Q does a ton of the damage. So I don't know. Like I said, Ryze, I like Ryze. He's just, again, he's not in like the best place. He could be in a better spot, but he's just not right now. Zaya, same thing. A lot of these champions that they did these minor changes to are just like not in a good spot. Like I feel like now this might be a drinking game. I feel like I've said that like 30 times at this point. They're not in a bad spot, but they're just not good. Or there are other champions that you can pick to like do what they do but better. Right now, just don't play like attack damage 80 carries in the bot lane. Play mages. Like, as crazy as it sounds, with the changes to, like, what are the items? I just said them. Shield Bow, Gale Force. Unless you're able to get really, really far ahead, which, if you're just playing, like, Swain or, I don't know, Karma 80 AP carry, like, playing an ADC is just really, really rough right now. I found a lot of success playing Irelia bot lane when the season first started. They've changed some of the items, but for the most part, all the items are pretty good. I'm going pretty nuts on Lucian and Vayne. Vayne is one of the champions that... So Vayne is a champion that... she's one of like 2 crit 80 carries that benefit from Kraken Slayer. Because Kraken Slayer basically just doubles up on her W. And Lucian is a not really a 80 carry anymore. He's a spell slinger. That's why you see him in the mid lane and in the top lane more frequently. So again, your standard 80 carries struggle in this meta. They've been trying to buff them up, but then the more they buff them up, the more other people build their items. So like Gale Force is being built on a bunch of champions that shouldn't be building Gale Force at this point. That's because they buffed Gale Force. Instead of buffing the champions, they buff Gale Force. And they could, you know, incrementally buff each champion individually, so that way you don't just get like meta league of 80 carries. But I mean, at this point, we're season 8 is when they gutted 80 carries. We're in season 11. Isn't it kind of time that 80 carries got their time to shine again? I don't know. But then people go, but what about Philios? But what about Samira? Like, those aren't time to shine. Those are just like outliers that break the game to the point where playing the game is unfun. They're either permabanned or you have to learn how to play them. And if they don't fit your playstyle, then you're kind of up the creek without a paddle. So these changes are my favorites. Yasuo and Yone. We were waiting for these, us Yasuo and Yone players. Effectively, what they did is they changed the passive bonus crit from 100 to 150. For those of you that don't know, the issue was when they changed all the items over, they changed the items to now only have 20%. Yes, full weave. I don't have any of my mugs right now, but full weave send. Which meant you'd have to build 3 crit cloak type items to be able to hit your 100%. Well, effectively you build 2 crit cloak items and build a 3rd crit cloak period. So you would see Berserker Greaves into Shield Bow into Infinity Edge, and then some people would sit on the crit cloak, or some people would just start building out their 3rd crit item, which if you went Infinity Edge would be Bloodthirst, and if you went Bloodthirst it would be Infinity Edge. Now you only need 2 items to hit the 100% crit mark, which is fantastic. But the takeaway is now instead of your crit converting to 0.5 AD, it drops down to 0.4 AD. You may be going, well, that's not that huge at all, and that's nothing. The problem is, that's actually like 18 AD later on in the game. So, like, effectively you can think of it as an AD and a level, but since it scales like exponentially kind of growth, and not, well, I guess no, it's actually more linearly. But the difference is, it's AD that you're missing if you're going through a standard build path. I think overall it's a net buff, but not by like, it's not like game breaking. It's not going to make them like over the top or anything. Just because they brought it down on that. So I think the best part about it is it opens up builds. It just opens up a ton of builds. So my favorite build in the preseason on Yone has been Blade of the Rune King into Divine Sunderer, and then building out my crit items. Love that build. One, I'm a Yone top main, so I play against a lot of tanks, a lot of bruisers, a lot of people who like the tumble, and having the Bork with the attack speed as well as the lifesteal and the slowing passive, great to stay on top of people with Yone. And then Sunderer is just a really, really, really good item. So against tanks again, you heal, you do extra health damage. It's fun. And then you can, like, if the game goes long enough, I just build Eye Edge and Bloodthirster, and then I don't die, until I get clapped by a bunch of CC. But I think all this does effectively, it's like I said, it's on a scale of 1 to 10 of being like game changing for them, but just the buff in isolation, it's like a 2 on the scale. But the real change is build paths and build options and itemizations. They're going to be able to build just their 2 items and not have to take up 3 slots. So effectively, it's just opening either an extra defensive item or an extra damage item that they weren't building, like a new situational item, which is really, really nice. I think they should give a change like this to AD carries or the AD carry items in general. Like if they were to revert it back and then change all the AD carry items, I wouldn't be that upset because then AD carry as a role wouldn't have to build 5 crit items to get 100% crit. You know, I think that I would give that give or take. Base champion stat clean. Yeah, this is the thing I was talking about at the very beginning of the patch. They've effectively changed the numbers just to be a little cleaner. So instead of like, instead of just having some weird 3 point, well, that's pi. That's for Vel'Koz. Vel'Koz is actually pi. Like he has to scale with pi because math. It's part of his gimmick. But everybody else is being rounded to the nearest second decimal point and all that. Archangel staff. So they did change some items. Cool. I don't think they had any item changes on the PvE. So they changed the build path. Tier, amplifying tome, needlessly large rod. So they just swapped out the sapphire crystal for an amplifying tome. I'm assuming it does more damage, which it does. And they moved down the awe. So, I mean, I feel like they should have just buffed Archangel again. I know it may sound crazy, but I think they should have buffed it again because you have to remember a patch ago or 2 patches ago, mages were building, what's the name of the thing? The other version of this, the mirror mana. Because this is just bad. They took away the shield. It doesn't do as much damage. Like, this is just bad. Ionian Boots of Lucidity. So you get 20 instead of 15. I think this will change the game. I saw this change in game. Like I've played it. I didn't read the patch notes yet, but I played it in game and I noticed that the ability haste was 15 to 20. So on like my mages, I just started building the Boots of Lucidity instead of the Sork Boots because I'd much rather like fire, even if it's just 1 extra time in a team fight, than get like 3 extra damage or 7 extra damage, especially early on. Like early on, you want to sling out those abilities more because you don't have as much AP. So, and especially if you're not playing somebody with a high base damage AP, then it's better to go for the, like if you're playing Zyra, then yeah, get the Sork Boots because her base damage, I think her level 1 Q is like, I don't know, like 90 damage or 70 some damage. It's stupid high. Versus someone like Akali, whose base damage is like 15. You just got to figure out the champions that you're playing and know where you're like min-maxing. Miramana. Or Manamune, sorry. So they made it more expensive. They changed the build path. They increased the damage, which kind of makes sense. I don't know if 300 gold is worth the 5%. I'm not good at that. Like I'd have to go on one of those sites that has like the gold efficiency charts, but I don't know. Well, maybe because 300 gold isn't a lot, and 5% from mana can actually like scale. If you build this and you build because I think the new Essence Reaver still has mana or has mana now, so this could be pretty good. And then Muramana, the AD shock percentage went down by like 1.5 points, which is crazy. No longer limited physical, so that's also weird. Because the reason why this was added is because mages were abusing it. So I don't know. Runon's Hurricane. This change was supposed to go on patch like 10.24, and then they pushed it off, and now it's finally here. But they basically made the Runon's Hurricane, the old Runon's Hurricane. It's way cheaper, 2,500 gold. You don't need the pickaxe, so it's great for people like Aphelios. Great for Ashe. I think the only person that doesn't benefit from this is Jinx, because Jinx or I think she utilized a little bit of AD on her AoE crit rockets just a little better. She was able to like one-shot backlines and stuff like that. Shirelia's Battle Song. Movement speed, 40% decay over 4 seconds, 60% over 4 seconds. That's a huge buff. 20% is massive. This is a mythic, I'm pretty sure, but I don't know what its mythic passive is. But that's huge. Bust items. Weird players concerned that we added too much burst damage into the new items, mythics in particular. So we're pulling back specifically on those since that's where a lot of the systemic damage was added. This is intended to keep the power levels from items of the items natural or neutral. Excuse me, trading more upfront bursts for stats instead. See, Duskblade. That's a lot. I was thinking like they were gonna nerf it like not minimally, but holy moly. So the Duskblade proc damage went down by 45, 35, yeah, 35. Good maths, Williams. 30, 35, and 5. I'm reading that correct. Yeah, that's pretty rough. But it went, the flat damage went up, so it's interesting. It's a lot of damage to lose. Oh, this is so. Are these all going to be Ornn upgrades? I don't know if I'm going to read the Ornn upgrades of these, but because it looks like 5 damage. I'm trying to think. I mean, no, this is just a nerf. Like, I know it does more damage, like attack damage. This is just, I think this is just a nerf overall, at least until like later into the game. Prowlers, same cut. Holy smokes! But you get 20 ability haze, so that's like not bad for people like Zed. Even though a lot of people think that this is a noob trap on Zed, it's not bad. Pyke loves this for the ability haze because Pyke already overkills people, so you're gonna want Pyke to have more ability haze for his Qs, for his Es, things like that. Rocket Proto Belt, increase the ability power and the health. Oh, the supersonic damage. I'm assuming the supersonic damage is the active. So the active got gutted. So it used to scale and now it's just a flat 125. They're gonna buff that. Maybe not next patch. I think they're gonna revert half of these and give them back their per level scaling. Because one, this is like super low. And what they'll probably end up doing is adding maybe ability power per level. Maybe. Keeping the health the same. Oh no, the ability power is just like done. Yeah, no, they're just gonna change that back. I think they're gonna scale it. That made no sense. Night Harvester did the same thing. I think the same changes are gonna go through. Brought that down by 10, which is weird. Because the people building, like, Trinity Force isn't even in that good of a spot. The only people that are doing well with Trinity Force right now are, like, I want to say, like, Jax. Right? So, Gore Drinker, still really, really strong. Build it if your champion is good with it. Again, Fiora. And then Stride Breaker. Damage down, ability haste up. I don't even know who's really good with Stride Breaker. I played it with Garen. It's, like, not bad. I think Gore Drinker is just a better item, but it has to do with the state of the game. The state of the game is weird because there's so much damage, so you need survivability. So as long as there's that much, well, maybe since they're bringing the damage down with all these changes to these burst items, Stride Breaker does better, and you don't need as much survivability. Maybe. So, Grievous Wounds. They're changing all items that apply Grievous Wounds for 2 seconds to 3 seconds, which is cool. It just helps with a little bit more counterplay against some of these champions that have so much rampant healing. Life Steal applies to, it's on hit, the yellow sword. Okay, so they just clarified what Life Steal is. In-game chat/shop update. Don't know. Okay, so these are all nothing. Oh, when the season starts. So wait, when does it start for North America specifically? Oh, it's 4 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Oh me, oh my. Grandmaster and Challenger unlocks. So the issue with this, like, I like the lock. I know it's a little annoying for players that are like really, really good, but the years that they haven't locked it, there's always like some person that just plays like 300 games in 2 days and is able to like get to the Challenger like really, really fast. And then for some of them, they just camp out because they play so many games over the short amount of time. They camp out for the majority of the season. Now, if they're good enough to stay up there, kudos, great for them. That's awesome. But I just think it devalues for those players. Whereas like when there's the lock, it's like everybody hits that cap, so all the good players are also up there too. And then when you open the floodgates, yes, the person who's going to run through a ton of games is going to might get into Challenger first, but the good players are also right behind them, instead of like a good player being like stuck practicing for the LCS or something. Aram, don't care about those. Quality of life changes and bugs. Really? I look in here to see if there are any changes that should have been added to the patch note changes. When he swapped, so he used to gain bonus mana when he swapped his weapon. I wonder if this was happening all the time, because that would be absolutely broken. Just have somebody just sitting there spamming W and gaining mana, so that way he could just never run out of mana in lane. That's gross if it happened all the time. Spellblade no longer triggers mana charge for Tear the Goddess twice. Does it do it once? I tried stacking a Tear with Kale's E, and it didn't stack at all because her E is no cost. So I don't know if this might have been a bug that happened every now and again, but I remember trying it. But maybe this was before the season, so maybe when they changed it, I didn't try it during the off season. No longer ignore ability haste, so these will be better. You guys might have to let me know. Does ability haste work on items as well? I thought the only way ability haste worked on items was with like the Ionian boots or whatever, and the what's the range? Well, not range. The Ingenious Hunter. Our basic attack properly applies W hyperstack when his Narbar. So that's a buff that should be in the changes as well. If it wasn't properly stacking when he had his full rage bar, then that actually was hampering his abilities. Zoe, I don't know. So her E, I mean, not a lot of people are building Mandate on Zoe, but that makes sense. Deals additional damage to small jungle monsters. That's a buff, so I don't know why that's not up there. Grants mana charge, Tear of the Goddess. Most towns aren't building tier, so it makes sense as to why that went unknown. Not shows properly, that's good. Tarik equips Moonstone Renewer. Heals all champions only once per ability or cast in combat. I'm assuming it was doing it more than once, which that's a nerf. His E, when enemies die. Okay. So there's a bug with Ornn. I don't know if you guys were watching the last game, but there's a bug with Ornn where if you build an item on the field, it sometimes locks out your ability to use your QWER, your recall, your back. It like shuts down your keyboard. It was really, really weird. The skins. I think I'm going to do a whole nother skin video, but all in all, I think these changes, a lot of these changes, like I said, go a certain distance, but not far enough. The buffs were nice. The Ryze buff is weird. The Kiana buff is, I mean, Kiana's just difficult to pilot. The adjustment for them, again, I think is really good. You're gonna figure out whether you want to play them traditionally or if you can change builds, like Triforce as your thing, Mythic, and then just built differently, which is really, really cool. I think I like the changes to Grievous. These nerfs were to kind of keep them in line. I think there should have been a few more nerfs around the way, but nothing that like jumps out at me as like, this needs to happen now. Karma is in limbo. Nar got a really good set of buffs. All in all, like I said, I think this was a really, really good patch. If you enjoyed this review, feel free to drop a follow, drop a like. I appreciate you guys for hanging with me. I have no clue how long this video is. I'll find out once I get done like editing it and putting it in post. And then stay tuned or go to the next video. I think I'm going to do the skin review for this patch. If you enjoy just skin reviews over that in general, I got you. In the meantime, it's been your boy King Arena here doing my review. You've been kicking it with King, and I hope you've had a good time. Audi 5000.